More in the Liquid Dew of Youth. Smoke Pit Fairy Tales, Part 5. Chapter 9. King Player. Chuck, Thatch, and Stockton sat at the King and Tun's bar, bullshitting while they waited to go on stage. Stockton was halfway hammered. Chuck and Thatch just sipped their drinks, making sure they were coherent enough to play. The crowd was thick, as it usually was at that time on Friday nights. McKenzie and his servers managed to get everyone drinks in a timely manner. Thatch scanned through the smoke of the crowd to see if he recognized anyone. Most of the faces were generic New Philadelphian slags and rapscallions. Peppered between were a few regulation haircuts that screamed Marine. Two of them in the back near the door stood out the most. Ramsey and Gimmery.
I fucking hate those guys.
Thatch took another sip of his beer.
Who?
Chuck raised his head to see who he was referencing.
Ramsey and Gimmery are back by the entrance.
Ew. Those fucking queers?
Stockton winced in disgust.
Yeah, those fucking pokes think they're hot shit and they go and insult us, like calling us degenerate drunks and shit behind our back.
Well, to be fair, we are hammered half the time.
That's not the point, Stockton.
Yeah, those guys are cocks.
Chuck backed Thatch. He watched the band play on the small stage at the back of the bar. They were just alright. Chuck wouldn't consider them anything special.
I think this is their last song. Want to get up there?
Thatch checked his watch.
Yeah, it's about that time.
The two of them got up, went to the back and double-checked the tuning on their guitars. From the main room, they heard McKenzie take the microphone.
Good evening, New Philadelphia. Give it up for Slings and Arrows.
The crowd roared back at him.
All right, now, these next guys, I'll give them a little introduction. I served within the Marines.
The crowd wooed.
I was with these guys out sailing across the solar system all the way to Volgograd and back. Let's hear it for Rat Trap.
The bar screamed their drunken cheers as Chuck and Thatch took the stage from McKenzie. Thatch adjusted the microphone stand and grinned at the crowd.
How y'all doing tonight?
A chorus of hollers answered him.
Well, that's good.
He watched them raise their glasses.
Hope y'all are all good and liquored up. The drunker you are, the better we're gonna sound.
Thatch led Chuck with an opening riff, a quick stage warm-up to get the crowd going. They started fingering the music to their song, Go to Hell, and Thatch let out a resonating, high-pitched squeal into the microphone. As they tore through the song, Thatch kept his watch on the bar, only looking down at the beginning of the guitar solo. While he played, he watched Shamoom come in and sit at the bar next to Stockton. The two of them started chatting after McKenzie brought them rounds. During the last verse, Glaedwine brought in Paraska.
That's why Ramsey and Gimmery are here.
Thatch thought. Chuck and Thatch played a few more songs. Glaedwine and Paraska smiled and bobbed their heads to the tune. Gimmery and Ramsey stood in the back as if they were on duty. Thatch figured they were. Stockton and Shamoom looked like they were joking and having a good time. When they were done with most of their set, Thatch addressed the crowd.
All right, we got one more song for y'all tonight. We actually wrote it this week. It might be a little rough, but you should be too drunk to care by now, am I right?
The crowd held up their drinks and shouted. Thatch let out a scream and started to shred the strings. He sang.
Seduce the world with a kiss cheek, a veil on their eyes, but you don't fool me. Spraying flames with tears, a life I've seen and heard, a crime that's not yours, one rifle in the hurts, first in fear of God, a visage to mask the devil. Your 4-ton sheepskin suit won't get that poison in my ear. Go seduce the people, play your tricks on the queen of yours. You'll not realize your dreams, fate decides the future.
While they were playing, Thatch kept an eye on Paraska. His musical glee sharply faded to worry. Towards the end, he was red and sweaty. He said something to Glaedwine and left with Ramsey and Gimmery in tow. Thatch felt a wave of inward glory rush through his body, which he focused into the guitar. Paraska leaving during that song was awfully suspicious. He looked towards the bar where Shamoom was sitting to see if she was excited about his performance as he was. But when he looked, her lips were pressed against Stockton's. The victory wave turned to fury. He finished the song and barked,
Good night!
to the crowd, trying not to let his anger betray him. But when he looked back to Stockton and Shamoom, they were kissing again. Shamoom smiled, rubbed Stockton's shoulder, and walked out of the bar. He brooded, walking towards the back.
Not a goddamn thing has changed with her. She's still the selfish, immature whore she always has been.
He controlled himself enough to put his guitar away properly, then stormed towards the bar. When he arrived, Shamoom had left, and Stockton was smiling with glassy eyes.
Dude, what the fuck.
Thatch demanded.
What?
Stockton hiccuped behind a smirk. Thatch arched his back and had Stockton's back to the bar.
Samoom!
Oh, yeah. I kissed her.
Why? May I fucking ask, the fuck would you do that?
Stockton shrugged.
Because I hate her.
What?
Thatch asked, confused.
Because she's a fucking bitch.
Stockton rocked her head forward to balance herself.
And I hate her. And you deserve better than that. And I don't want to see you get hurt again because of that bitch.
Stockton gave her eyes a few hard blinks.
And I figured if I could get her to kiss me, you wouldn't want to hang out with her anymore. Because you'd see that she's a fucking bitch.
She downed a full glass of whiskey.
That I hate.
Thatch rolled his head back onto his neck, too infuriated for words.
But you always got me, buddy.
Stockton pulled her lips back over her teeth, showing an absurd look that only an abstract artist would call a smile. Thatch took in a slow, deep breath, trying not to explode. In the calmest voice he could manage, that was only loud enough for the two of them to hear, he said,
Stockton, you're a fucking degenerate whore and you piss me off to no end. What the fuck did I do to you that you do that to me? What fucking business do you have with who I'm trying to have a relationship with? A relationship that, by the way, has been historically plagued with her not being very nice to me. I'm trying to do this smooth, slow, and steady, and I do not need some skinny ginger cunt sabotaging it by being a fucking whore.
Well, hey, man. If that's the way it is,
Stockton corrected herself.
Then why are you wasting her with time? If she's been so microphagous towards you.
Thatch stared at her, confused by her choice of words, but understanding that she was too drunk to enunciate properly.
Stockton, you're too drunk to even fucking speak. Do you even know what microphagus means?
Nope.
Stockton shook her head, knocking the glitter off her cheeks.
But you do too. Don't neither.
Stockton rubbed her eyes, trying to get the words out straight.
You don't not neither. You know what I'm for offending.
I don't even know if that's a real word.
Thatch kept his teeth clenched.
It's not. But that ain't the point.
She pointed at Thatch.
You know what?
Thatch was done with her shit.
Why don't you just fuck the hell off?
Thatch turned and walked towards the back. Stockton whined.
No! Thatch!
When he disappeared into the crowd, Stockton flared her nose and wobbled her head mockingly. She looked at her empty glass and raised it at the bartender.
Yo! George! Firewater!
Thatch kicked into the back room, his face painted with obvious displeasure. His shoulder blades felt like they were trying to hike up over his head from the adrenaline and hate flowing through his veins.
Dude, you alright, man?
Chuck asked when he saw Thatch's distress.
No, fucking Samoom showed up to see the show and Stockton kissed her and she fucking left.
Chuck gave Thatch a blank look, trying to say what was on his mind in the gentlest way possible.
Well, you do know they're both whores. That's not a new revelation.
That's not the fucking issue, Chuck.
Thatch ran one hand over his head, pulling his hair back, and pointing the other one out the door.
It's that fucking slut who calls herself my friend is fucking with my relationship.
Chuck took in a deep breath and almost released it on Thatch, explaining why he was an idiot and telling him to turn his finger back to point at himself, because he knows full well what Samoom was like and that Thatch wasn't actually any better than her. But he decided it wasn't worth the fight.
Yeah, man, shit's fucked up.
Chuck said, figuring it was just easier to let him vent. Chuck closed his guitar case as Thatch paced around the room, festering with rage. He didn't really know what to say to him. Maybe something would have manifested if Chuck really cared. He didn't agree with Thatch spending any time with Samoom. He remembered how much she messed with his head back at Camp Castle. He knew his hopes were in vain, but he would have liked it if Thatch just told Samoom to fuck off. After he double-checked that their instruments and gear were secured, he slapped Thatch's arm with the back of his hand and suggested,
Let's go get drunk. That usually solves our problems.
Thatch begrudgingly mumbled in agreement. The two of them walked to the end of the bar by the back of the building and ordered a drink.
Get me another whiskey?
Chuck asked McKenzie.
Sure. What you want, Thatch?
Thatch looked at the bottles lined on the shelf.
I don't know, man. Fucking
He examined the liquors through the red light.
throw tequila, rum, and vodka in a glass with some grain alcohol and mix just enough orange liqueur in it so the whole thing doesn't taste like rotten cunt. I've had enough of that today.
You alright, man?
Just make the fucking drink.
Thatch pulled out a cigarette and sucked it down before McKenzie could put the beverages together. When Thatch got his drink, he chugged it in one gulp, slammed the glass on the table, and nodded for another. McKenzie knew something was wrong with him, but didn't plan on making it a conversation until after the bar closed and he had some time to actually listen. Thatch got his second drink and downed the top half, saving the rest for sipping. Chuck absolutely did not want to listen to Thatch whine about Samoom, but the angel on his shoulder told him to be a good friend and bear it.
So, what's the deal, man?
He cringed, bracing for the bitch fest to come.
Fucking love that woman, man.
Thatch moped.
I know you do, buddy.
Chuck tried to pretend he cared.
And I can't get a break with it. Every fucking time the boat starts floating and I've got my head above water with her, it gets torpedoed. I'm fucking tired of it. Is it too much to fucking ask for things to be simple? Like, what the fuck?
Well, you know how women are.
Thatch checked his phone.
That shit happened half an hour ago, and she hasn't texted me anything. Like, shouldn't something be said?
Why don't you just text her first?
And say what?
Thatch lowered his eyebrows.
Oh, hey, hope you like the show. Do you mind explaining what the fuck that was with Stockton?
Well, you're going to have that conversation at some point, right?
Yeah, but I'd really like for it to not be via text.
Dude, then go to her house and talk to her.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. What if she's not there? I'd rather stay here and get drunk with my friends than run the risks of showing up and being alone.
Chuck raised his glass, tightening his mouth over his lips and raising his eyebrows to show his patience was thinning.
Then shut the fuck up and let's get hammered.
Thatch tapped his glass to Chuck's, then downed it.
Jorge, hooch.
Glaedwine met Thatch at the bar at the same time the drinks did.
Hey, honey.
She looked at McKenzie.
3 shots of Irish whiskey.
McKenzie nodded and went for the drinks.
Hey, Ma.
Thatch pulled her in for a hug and held onto her until he felt her body heat burn through their clothes. When he let go, Glaedwine gave him a concerned look.
You all right?
Yeah.
He lied, not wanting to look weak in front of her.
I just drank too much too quick. I'm leveling out.
Glaedwine twisted her face, not believing what he was saying. She knew him enough to know that she could pry it out of him, but he would rather suffer in silence, and talking about his problems never really did anything for him. When the shots came, she handed him one, and the other to Chuck. She raised her glass.
Well, cheers to drinking our problems away.
Amen.
So, I liked your show.
You did?
Especially the one about Texas. I'm from there.
So was my mom.
Chuck smiled. He slapped Thatch's shoulder with the back of his hand.
The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps likes our songs.
Yeah.
Thatch grinned through his pain.
I'm glad you came, Mom. I haven't gotten to see enough recently, even though we're stationed together.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. The close, the so far away rhetoric.
Glaedwine shrugged and took another shot.
The irony is that I have to be up early tomorrow, so I have to go.
She wrapped her arms around Thatch's torso and squeezed him for a moment.
You two be safe tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Aye, Sergeant Major.
Glaedwine vanished through the doorway.
I know she's your mom and all, but it's still really cool we get to hang out with the Sag Madge sometimes.
Chuck twirled his finger at McKenzie for another drink.
Hey!
Stockton slurred herself into the conversation.
Hey, Stock, what's up?
Thatch ignored her. Stockton took a gulp of her drink.
Not much. Just listening to these shitty bands play. You guys were the last good drones to pay.
Chuck overlooked her drunken misuse of words.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I love you guys. You're great.
Stockton put her arms over Chuck's shoulders and squeezed him tight. Chuck hugged her back and mouthed to Thatch.
She's wasted.
Thatch tightened his lips and nodded. Then Stockton spun around and caught Chuck in a headlock, laughing.
Come on, dude. Let's wrestle.
Okay, buddy, I think you're a little too hammered for that.
Stockton kept her drunken smile and tightened her grip.
Nah. Come on. It'll be fun.
Chuck rolled his eyes.
No, buddy, I think the party's pretty much over.
Chuck tapped Stockton's arm. When she didn't let go, he tried to twist her off. She kept her arm clenched around his throat and squeezed harder. Chuck wheezed and looked up to Thatch for help. When he realized what was happening, Thatch, in one movement, pulled down Stockton's arm with one hand and flattened her nose against her face with his other fist. Stockton fell off Chuck, hit her head on the bar stool, and laid still on the ground for a moment. Chuck stared at her wide-eyed, thinking Thatch might have killed her. Thatch looked away and went back to his drink. Then, like a spring-loaded toy, Stockton bounced back to her feet. Blood poured from her eyes, nose, and mouth. She put her index finger in the air as if she was about to declare something. Then, when she couldn't find the words, she reached over the bar, grabbed a full bottle of rum, ripped off the lid, and downed the whole thing in a matter of 2 seconds. Thatch and Chuck watched her wobble on Queer Street. She fell face first towards the ground, but Thatch caught her. He slung her over his shoulder and turned to take her out to the back. A trio of human men stood in his path. Their leader, a blonde with a scruffy beard and a beanie, said,
Hey, that's fucked up. I can't let you take her out of here like that.
Fuck off, dude. She's my friend.
Thatch stepped to walk past them. The leader put his hand on Thatch's chest, stopping him.
I don't think you understand me. We don't want you hurting that woman any more than you already have.
He crossed his arms, trying to look tough. Thatch figured since the guy was a bit over 6 feet tall, people didn't normally challenge him, even though he looked like he was only $115.
Now hand her over.
Listen, asshole, get the fuck out of my way before I beat you and your girlfriends with my friend's limp body.
That's not going to happen.
Chuck slid in between Thatch and the tall blonde in a gambit to defuse the situation.
Hey, she is our friend, and we're just trying to get her to the back so we can take care of her.
That's not how we see it. I see 2 virescent assholes carrying an unconscious human woman who they just assaulted to a secluded room in a dark bar in New Philly. I don't think I'm going to let that fly. Now, you can hand her over to me, or the bouncer, or we can take her from you.
Chuck's patience had worn out.
You know what? I don't have time for this shit.
Chuck grabbed the leader's trachea and pulled it to the bar, slamming his face into a line of clean shot glasses. The other two went to jump on Chuck. Thatch stuck his fingers over one of their faces and pounded him into the ground before he could get there. The other stopped when his mouth made contact with the business end of a double-barrel shotgun. McKenzie pushed the gun further into his face.
Take your fucking friends and get out.
The man nodded nervously and backed away. Then he and the leader grabbed the guy on the ground and left the bar. Thatch carried Stockton to the back room and Chuck cleared off the couch. When Thatch laid Stockton on the cushions, he noticed the back of her head was bleeding too.
God damn it.
What?
Chuck looked over his shoulders to inspect Stockton.
Her head's busted open. Is there any super glue around here?
I'll look.
While Chuck searched for the adhesive, and Thatch looked her over, Stockton started mumbling incoherently.
Yeah, I know, man. Okay, man. Can you hear me?
Stockton nodded her head.
Okay, I need you to do something for me, alright? I need you to take a deep breath with your mouth. Then, when I tell you, I need you to blow out your nose as much as you can.
Stockton kept nodding. Thatch laid his fingers on her face, just outside the perimeters of her smashed nose.
Okay, breathe in.
Stockton opened her mouth and eyes and took in a comically long breath.
Okay, now breathe out.
Stockton pushed the air out of her nose. At first, it was labored. Then, mucus and blood started shooting out. Thatch pressed his fingers toward each other until Stockton's nose was back in the right place. As soon as her nasal passages were clear, the flow of snot and blood tripled until she stopped blowing. Stockton looked down at the mess on her chest.
Aww, I like this shirt.
It was either your shirt or your face.
Stockton sneered and pushed herself onto the couch as she began to wake back up. Chuck returned to the room.
I found it.
Found what?
Super glue. The back of your head's pretty busted up.
Stockton put a hand on her crown, feeling for dampness. It returned with more blood than was on her shirt.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's fucking fizz.
Look down.
When she complied, Thatch poured a glass of water over her scalp, then pressed the torn skin back together.
Chuck?
Yeah.
Chuck leaned over them and dotted the glue over the cut, trying to get as little hair in it as possible.
Okay, just hold that for a minute to let it set.
Thatch looked at Stockton.
Try not to move around too much. You're not going to want to have to shave your head because you got all your hair glued together.
Tank.
Yeah.
Thatch held her head until he thought it was safe to let it be. He let her go, then grabbed a beer from one of the back's coolers. Stockton rubbed her head, then her face. A sharp pain forced her to take her hands away when she hit her nose. She rubbed her cheek directly under her eye.
Hey, I think you broke my face.
Yeah, no shit.
No, come here. Feel this.
Stockton laughed at her injury. Chuck reached over and felt where Stockton directed him. There was a distinct, tangible crack from her eye socket down to her teeth.
Huh. Does it hurt?
Stockton sneered and shook her head. She put her finger in the fracture and tried to push it.
It's not moving, so I guess that's good.
She felt her nose again, and a bolt of sharp pain seized her body.
God damn, man. Why'd you have to fucking hit me so hard? You broke my fucking face.
Because you wouldn't let go of Chuck.
Thatch lit a cigarette and leaned back on the desk across the room.
Yeah, you cock.
Stockton rolled her eyes.
Okay, whatever.
She analyzed her situation and started planning for what she'd have to do Monday at the clinic to fix herself up.
I'd have done the same thing. I mean, I'll be okay by Tuesday. But fuck.
Yeah, you can really take a beating.
Yeah. And Thatch can break someone's face in half with one punch.
Stockton looked over at Thatch as he smoked. He was brooding with his attention towards his cigarette. She realized that he hadn't made eye contact with her since he scorned her at the bar earlier.
Hey man, I'm sorry about earlier.
Fuck you.
No man, that shit wasn't right, and I fucked up.
Stockton started to tear up. The self-realization of her betrayal weighed on her.
I mean, you're my best friend, and I don't want...
She shook her head.
I don't even know what to say. I don't like seeing you hurt. And that wasn't the way I should have went about it.
You're the one doing it, shithead.
I know.
Just go to fucking sleep, Stockton.
Thatch,
I don't give a fuck.
Thatch flicked his cigarette at her, hitting her in the chest, then stormed out of the bar. A surge of regret and sorrow poured through Stockton's body. She moped and stared at the floor.
Chuck, you gotta smoke.
Yeah.
Chuck took a cigarette out of the pack and handed it to her lit.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Chuck lit his own and sat next to her.
I didn't mean to.
I think you should probably shut the fuck up and go to sleep.
Especially the one about Texas. I'm from there. Damn Skippy, all the good ones are.
Chuck sounds. Sound Chuck. I don't know why I don't get really podcasty about it and lean in really close to that sweet spot, the golden spot. The spot where gold is made, where you sift it and you find it. So you can hear all of my delicious mouth noises and glottal stops. Bah! All right, so let's do this.
Hey, honey. 3 shots of Irish whiskey. Fuck, you know I can't say R's and W's. I mean, you're killing me on this one.
Oh my god, there was this like ridiculous, like actual no shit car chase in my parking lot earlier tonight. Like this car chasing another car, and it really like we couldn't decide if like they were racing for fun or if like one was actually desperately trying to get away from the other, but it was soaking wet. One of them came whipping around the bend and like made the turn. The other one failed, skidded all the way into the curb, bumped up on it, peeled out, going after him. And I mean, we're talking like a residential apartment parking lot, like damn near wrecked. It was crazy. It was obscene. Like we walk our dogs here. We crossed that street like 20 seconds before. All right, moving on.
All right, here's Blondie.
I've read Hamlet. The end.
I'm going to stop here.
All right, I'm going to do that again.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. No, I'm like, I didn't comprehend the sentence I just read. God fucking damn it. The one character I couldn't be any more mad about for whoring around, and the only character I couldn't be mad about for whoring around. Now I'm so mad! Oh my god. Like, damn it. Stockton's character went and did it. Pissed me off for being a fuckboy. Alright. Bitches can also be fuckboys. Yeah, Stockton qualifies. Yeah. She a fuckboy.
I think is it. Fuck me, dude.
Stocking. Locking, stocking 2 kissing robots. Or fucking barrels. I don't know. Fuck. 2 kissing robots.
Yeah, where we go? Yeah, those guys are cocks.
We're going to read about ants? Is this how you get ants? No ants. All right, scanned ahead, didn't see any ants. Ant check, no ants.
Let's go get drunk. That usually starts.
That shit happened half an hour ago, and she hasn't texted me anything. Like, shouldn't something be said? Oh my god, he's being such a fucking baby right now. And shut the fuck up about her and hang out with your friends. God damn you! Chuck. Spoke actual IRL Chuck's thoughts exactly. Then shut the fuck up and let's get hammered. Chuck. The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps likes her songs. Yeah, she doesn't just have to tell them that because her boy played them. She's a supportive mother, Chuck. Smadge Madge. Super Major Sergeant Major. Smadge Madge Vag. Yeah. The Vag Madge. Vaginal Major. Oh, these guys are racist. Yay. That's why you identified them as human. I'm getting fucked up because I keep waiting for the scene to turn into making out and puking for some reason, but it's not doing it. I don't know how to read it. I think you should probably shut the fuck up and go to sleep. We've all been there. You just need somebody to tell you it's okay, but you're in a spiral and they're not going to tell you it's okay because you fucked up. It's like everyone will be okay tomorrow.